Eva, 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 oh Eva.
DJ Gordon, suit and tie people don't like the video. Eva, 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 oh Eva, 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 Eva. Jiva you're the punami, like a tsunami, but when you think I take it from me, come when you tell me, when you look at Aaron and Gotti, man the brother now no chick, get him, I go murder them with it, and got the cat and day, my son play a man, I kill him with a rhyme, kill him with a melody, and a punchline, lyrical cologne is so behind the box, we do it time, I know this season, you ain't just a nickel on a dime, in a little bit of time, you just go drop off the line, and the serious cars, so we put them in the line, and they get it how we tie them like Italian wine, but got up on me, I'm doing just fine, them debaters and the readers, the other voter, I'm no readers, but in case I hear the baker, but the paper you not see ya, you come across an acre, and listen to the baker, the creator, of the acre, when a bad shot, yeah. You know they on my level, I told, you dey reach for the sky, I dey reach for the heavens. We go see, you go fall. You are not on my level. Yeah, I told, you dey reach for the sky, I dey reach for the heavens. Eva, 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 oh, I Eva, 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 Eva. I'm only mother and never walk a kind of a gumbo, but feel like a little can I let you know a car will pay your money. Hi, hater, who put the Katamaya with a dream by later. Put another governor on me. Hello, hi, rappers. I make you know the better. The say the strong so right, so I would take your daily bread. But instead, okay, you go ahead. Banana drink, I burn up blood, the cure, but yellow dread. I paint the perfect picture, but I know me Shelly. How me give me a detail, I know all the darling. How did you ever come with it? But then I know now you're fully. Particular, you like to know, but he don't know the belly. Them debaters and the races, you're the voter and the races. Body gets I hear the vehicle for the people, huh? See from across the acre and the sun to the base and the creator, man. Bad shot, yeah. You know they're on my level. I told, you don't reach for the sky, I don't reach for the heavens. We go see who go fall. You are not on my level. Yeah, I told, you don't reach for the sky, I don't reach for the heavens. We go see who go fall. Yep. Eva.
And the co-founder of the Adventures in the Diaspora Series, along with Kofi Blankson and others. This has been going on for several years, and we are thrilled that we have new topics which engage in the discourse of culture and creativity and how that can shape our development agenda. Today's theme, go back. Today's AID is dedicated to my former partner, Stephen Canna, who was an architect in Los Angeles, where I also practiced. And Steve and I were working in Ghana on several projects before he died. The cover of the book, which was published in the mid-90s, was a very controversial one. He was referred to as the pop architect. And he didn't understand what that meant. So for many years, he grappled with this issue of does pop mean that he is not as good as the more established architects around the world? And I used to assure him that in time people would understand his need to blend in the modernist tradition with the arts. Because Stephen was a fantastic painter, was inspired by artists such as Kandinsky and Andy Warhol and so forth. So his work was very colorful in an era where buildings were deemed to just have to be white in the tradition of the Bauhaus. So this evening's event is to say that popular culture is what we have to kind of grapple with, be it music, film, or architecture. We're here to understand the proponents of such a movement, I think, that they all have a kind of a common theme of being able to, they're very accessible in their work. And I think their work is also very friendly. And also I think it's got some intellectual rigor to it, although it may appear rather, kind of maybe colorful and kind of whimsical. I think our culture is evolving, and we have to accept the new strands which is amongst us. So these four, again, Eden, thank you very much, exemplify what we're going through as a kind of a contemporary culture.
Now, the artists, a lot of artists are confused because we have the audience that are Afrocentric. I'm from Africa, so I frown at anybody who does a song and does not speak a local language, or who does not have an afro. By the way, I have an afro. Or, and now we see music videos are bolder. There are more naked women. Before it was a taboo. People are still frowning on those things, but as Africans, we are still forming the whole idea of pop culture. I think we have put ourselves in a box a lot because we have let the cliche of what people think an African is define us. I think being African is, you're black, you're from Africa, you're an African. Yes, it can go deeper than that. It goes deeper than that for some people, but people are influenced differently. And from a child, let's compare things. Let's say a child who goes to GIS and is exposed to DSTV, or a child who does not have DSTV and only watches GTV. The influences are different. The DSTV child has more exposure to Beyonce and Shakira, who are almost half naked all the time. But that child is still an African living in Africa, but this is their influence. And the child who is always watching
GTV is exposed to Christiana love. On a serious note.
Or religious channels, So as much as we have international influence, because of that, there's a conflict because we are still defining who we are as Africans. So yeah, that conflict is there. So we're still embracing, but
yeah, artists have a huge responsibility. When I started, I didn't really think that I had that much, influence. So when people would see me and maybe rush up to me, want to take a picture, I always assumed there was someone I knew maybe from school it still happens because you see someone like, where do you know me from? Until you realize, and forgive the use of the word God, but you realize that you have a following and there are people in reality who almost worship you and idolize you. And you ask yourself, what do you do with this? Because some people, take every single, if you tell someone to go and cut all their hair, they are going to do it because of you. So then you have a question, what do you want to do with this? And I hate to think that we are not creative in Africa, but sometimes we act like we are not. Because if Eden does a video and he's sitting on a throne doing something interesting, and the video hits, everybody assumes that is the end thing. So then everybody wants to do the same thing. So then it becomes this cycle of, okay, then every artist is doing this because they think this is what they should be doing. But I believe that, first of all, you should always take a stand and stick to it. People are not going to agree with the decisions you take. Like, for instance, when I started this industry, the first interview I did, I will never forget, was at Peace FM, and I asked myself one question. what kind of person do I want to be? I'm a very opinionated person, and I like to say a lot of, I don't intend to say controversial things, but I like to just speak my mind because I don't know how to, pretend to be something I'm not. So before I walked into the interview, I asked myself, what kind of person do you want to be known for? And I decided I wanted to be known for someone who, speaks their mind, and people are either going to like it or they don't. And in doing that, I had to accept the responsibility that comes with it, because people are going to grow up and say, okay, Lydia said this, or Lydia Forson talks like this, so I'm going to be like that. And there are some days when, you want to go like, but I didn't force anybody to be like me. Like with the whole natural hair thing, I didn't think people were going to catch on. But then when I realized people were, really wanting to do their hair like mine, I just said, okay, if you follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram at Lydia Forson, and on
They say I'm not like but honey, got plenty of money, you probably gonna just love it. Sorry, hey, don't give me that look. I'm tired of singing the hook. I'm tired of reading the book. I'm tired of shooting and tired of beat. So tired of leak. I'm leaving for good. Do to me, easy. Do to me, easy. Do to me. Thank you. Give it up for Gemini. Give it up.
For me, I aspire that one day someone would also be going through a book and see a beautiful building and it would have Accra, Ghana, Kumasi, Ghana, maybe my hometown, Kransa, Ghana, I don't know. But we are aspiring for to compete on the international scene. And yes, it will be good that we take an identity with us. And this identity, like I said, my big senior architect and co are still trying to grasp this. We are all, also doing this, but we haven't settled on it yet. I personally, I don't know. Ghanaian, I'm a Ghanaian. I was born here, I was bred here, I schooled here, but everything about me is here. And I'm producing something maybe that can compete with a building in some other country. I don't know. I don't know what that Ghanaian architecture is. And when it's found, I'll be the first to try and, emulate it. I think that's the best I can do.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we are doing question and answers. And so if there's anybody in the crowd who has a question, you want to?
And she said African prints were popular, and she said it's an artist, somebody of influence made it popular because it was chic. When I decided to cut my hair, go natural, very contrary to how I look today, it was because I had seen the likes of Lydia Forson and other artists, female artists in Africa, from Asha to internationally, African artists who are being recognized internationally, come with their identity, and they were very bold with that identity, and it showed a lot of confidence. So as a woman with natural hair, I decided to cut my hair. And when I cut my hair and I did interviews, a lot of people interviewed and asked, why did you decide to go natural? Does that mean you're changing the sound of your music? So it is assumed that the look goes with a specific sound. And what is that sound? I told the interviewer that I went natural because I think one type of beauty has been advertised, and I want to be able to make a statement and let people know that this is also beautiful, and this is me naturally, and I can be equally as beautiful as a woman with blonde hair, and that natural thing has also sparked a trend. After that interview, I started to notice that a lot of Ghanaian women, if you look in the crowd today, you see that a lot of people have gone natural. And I think it is also because of pop culture influence, because many years back, it would be very difficult to see women with low haircut. They call them Davi. I mean, in fact, when you're going to school and they ask you to cut your hair, you can't wait to finish SS so that you perm it back and then start putting on Brazilian weaves and stuff, you know. So, you know, so let's embrace who we are. Let's have our identity. But in having that identity, you can only have an identity if you're bold and you know who you are as a person. I don't think an African should be identified by their hair or by what they are wearing, but they can also express their culture by their hair and what they're wearing.
Movies, everybody and the type of movies that they do. We have Layla, who does very, you know, artsy movies that try to appeal to the more. She tries to sell Africa because she's a true believer of that, and I respect her for that. And then we have Shirley, who wants to show the world the beautiful side, you know, of Africa. So, i.e., most of her movies, you see, you know, very beautiful houses and very beautiful cars. And then for the audience, they are conflicted in this because some may argue that that is not Africa because of the flashy cars and the rest. And then another side will argue, but that's for against Layla, that is not Africa. People don't live in, you know, mud houses and the rest. But so it's this ongoing thing, and it's not just don't get me wrong, it's not just Shirley and Layla. I'm just using them as, you know, key examples. So there's this ongoing conflict between filmmakers and even the audiences of what is African enough. For me, I believe in the contemporary Africa where both parties are right, and I'm trying to blend them. Where if you watch a movie of mine, okay, well, just one movie, a letter from Adam, still showing at if you watch my movie, if you follow the characters, there are some characters my character in the movie is a bar, works at a bar, and in reality it would make absolutely no sense to have her driving a Jaguar, so she takes a taxi. And then another character can afford it, so is driving a Range Rover. So I'm trying to blend it in. And even to go a step further, I hate the word Kumawi because I don't know if it's official, but if you watch the Kumasi movies, they speak all three throughout. So then, in fact, there's 3 segments to, you know, the industry. Now, if you watch a movie of mine, people are speaking Cree, people are speaking Ghana, people are speaking English, because that's, for me, a true representation of Africa. There's a place for all of us in there. So there's diversity. Thank you for that word. So that is what I am trying to bring to the industry, where I don't feel like the only way I can project Africa. Most filmmakers feel like the only way you can get, like when someone read my script, the person said, "Wow, you know, I expected more from you because, you know, you're so Afrocentric." I never said I was Afrocentric. I said I was lazy with my hair. So most people expect that you should do. The only way you can make it international is if you're more quote-unquote African. But what is African? And it's not even just about the color of your skin, you know. So a lot of, even with music, people, you find artists, and the sad thing is, now as much as I admire artists cutting their hair, some people cut their hair because they feel like that is how Africans should look. So then with our music, with our films and everything else, we feel like this is what the world sees as African, so this is the only way to sell Africa. But I don't believe in that, because Africa is evolving. It is big. You're seeing buildings like yours that I never even thought, you know, would. So I hope am I answering your question in a way?
You got it.
Yeah, we're seeing buildings that I never dreamt would see here. So the Africa is what, there are so many sides to Africa. We're sitting in Golden Tulip now. You watch probably on CNN, they will show only a slum somewhere. But the reality is we have different parts.
Once upon a time, I didn't think you could have colorful buildings. And then I wake up a few years later, and there's this colorful building I could see across the street. And I think the coloring and the presentation is exciting. And so I'd like her to give us insight into how she thinks architecture has evolved in line with pop culture. Yeah.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this. Music and film. I mean, they and pop culture are almost synonymous. But architecture and pop culture they are hardly ever seen in the same sentence. Because
until today.
Until today, yes. In fact, when you called me, that was spent so much time with my office people trying to understand how pop culture is even involved in architecture. Because we do tend to be a bit more conservative with architecture. There was a style. In fact, when I started practicing, there was a prevailing style. Every client wanted a house with a massive roof, with the columns in front, a grand entrance. My home is my castle. I have arrived. And I felt strongly that there was opportunity there to do something different, something that would be helpful. So if we can go back to, yes, next slide please. So this was what was pertaining when I started practicing. And when I came in, of course, this was what everybody wanted, but I saw there was an opportunity to do something to reflect what today's, the modern Ghanaian wanted. And that is really the pop of it, the pop culture defined this. The way we live now, it's a bit different. I mean, if my father's house was like a castle, yeah, I mean, they really did used to live like kings. They would have a driver, a house help, 3, 4, 5, 6 children, a cousin somewhere, some displaced uncle somewhere. So of course, you would see things like 10-bedroom house. And, you know, it would be a castle. He comes home from work, and someone is rushing to collect his bag. The food is laid out. They were really living like kings. But that's not like us now. I mean, the maximum you find a man, his wife, 2, 3 children. You know, it doesn't fit with the trend for now. So this was an opportunity to design something that not only fitted the style, but also possibly even affordable somehow. Where we've taken the focus from the castle-ness and we've placed it in the light, the feeling, how the space, you know, interacts with the person. Okay, so for example, that is our idea of what a bank branch interior should, but we did the whole branch, and that's a picture from the interior. Next slide. This is detailed shots from one of our projects. So that's like a terrace. You have all the glass on the side there. So it's not really a big space, but when you are in the space, it feels open. It feels bigger than it. Then there's color. I'm quite colorful. I like color. I'm an artist at heart. I actually only studied architecture because that was the only way my mother would allow me to study visual arts in secondary school. So it was sort of a blackmail. But it turned out that was actually a good foundation for what I was going to do. So, for example, yes, texture. Next slide. Simple forms. Very, very simple. But there's something about the simplicity that reaches out to our generation, probably. Because if you have just 2 children, that's just enough. But you will enjoy this. So please, let's meet the Philippa. Some of you may have seen it. We see your lovely building, but believe it or not, we also get, oh my God, what is that? No, that's exactly what we set out. That's exactly what we set out to do, because this building is sitting at the end of a junction, on a short stretch, like, yes, Ring Road, and you would, there's slow traffic on that road. You could spend 3 to 5 minutes just looking at this big building. And we thought, well, so my little sister is an artist, and we engaged her to climb up scaffolds and express herself. So she did. So actually, it's we call it our Marmite building. You either hate it or you love it. And that's really, instead of staring at a big blank, boring facade, it's like we've hung a painting in the air for you. So if you like, just like art, you could like it or you couldn't. But that is exactly what we were going for with the Philippines. Yes, actually, this is about technology. Technology is a very integral part of pop culture. Everybody has technology at their fingertips. And for architects too, it has come to help. Because by the time I do that sketch in the corner, it's only I understand it. But with computer-aided design, with all these renderings and animations and all kinds of things we can do now, we've brought the layperson that close to something that once was almost the sole prerogative of the big grand architect. Now, when you have a client, you are conceiving something, you can bring them on board. They can understand what you are doing. They can feel it even before a brick is mortared. And okay. Juliet has taken the lead with my slide. So this, we actually have a great opportunity here to make so much impact, even in a virtual state. Before we go constructing anything, mass media, this is running on all kinds of media. It could even go viral. So many people can see it. So if there's even an impact there, before we mortar a brick, it's going to be felt. So that's what technology has done for us. And another thing, before we go to the next slide, architecture is not usually welcome to the popular party, but our buildings are always there. They are always there. And before, the buildings would just fade into the background. You would drive by, I mean, you could see a building maybe, but our buildings didn't set out to engage us in any way. You see, but with now, I think we are getting bolder. I mean, when you you are designing a building, you are thinking beyond it's just sheltering the people. You are wanting to engage someone who may never even enter the building, but just by virtue of driving by or just glancing at it, you are impacting them somehow.
So I have a song. It features Sway from the UK. We just released the video a while ago, so you can check it out. Visit Edem on TV on YouTube. And when I say ayo, I need everybody to say ayohe. It's that simple, but of course with perfect timing. Ayo, ayohe, ayo, ayohe. All right, ayo, ayohe. All right, ayo, ayohe. Listen, my flow insane, revolutionary, Che Guevara. I get too many styles, but you go ask your area barber. What's underrated, boy, we feel on top, solid cater. Stay undefeated, undisputed. Spread me weather, no one in the deep, no power. No power to be my become. They come on your bird, in an email, I think that I will come on your dano. I've been a good and you walk up on the mono, Ufano, it's on you. You can come up me to come up me crunchy. Let me shoot the stars, don't go past quick. Give me shots, got to call it boo. The boy too sick enough. All of them want to retire. Them know we raise the bar. Them see we set the fire. So we'll let them see your fire. Ayo. Ayo. Alright. Yeah. Get him. I'll be the savior of the game. I'm the only one. Wait, nobody ever be. I'm the chosen one. I'm going to sit for the throne for the day of God. I am the one, the one, the one. I'll be the savior of the game. I'm the only one. Are we on? Okay. Ayo. Ayo. Hey. All right. Ayo. Ayo. Hey. All right. I'll be gold, I'll be diamond. That'll be the reason this rapper they dig me. I put a talent to the test, like Simon, I'm American Idol. From the whenever they need me. I'm gonna be my bug, I'm gonna be my Ojika. But then your man, you will probably get with your little good teacher. What's up, are you a rapper? Wait a zone to CV. Bring up on yourself, when you're doing what we don't go what's up, are you a singer? You from Feature Kelly and change your destiny, child. No fuck about that and a booty. And get them, all of them want to retire. Them know we raise the bar. Them see we set the fire. So we let them see the fire. Ayo, hey. Ayo, ayo, okay, ayo, 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 I be the savior of the game, I'm the only one. When nobody there for me, I'm the chosen one. I go to seek for the throne till the day I'm gone. Lejika de luta na tina yo mada funa bia bamba da pakama yo. Udo misa kwa wo you waka kwa mabudo te kukuna bina baya yo. Ya wo yo me na kima na tro. Masudo wasro masudo the pop. That truth be hard to swallow. They say I know be the best, yeah. Ran like the doing Hyman. I burned the territory, don't fear the truth, scared of the proof. VRMG, you see the ghost. Era, VRMG era. Thank you. I mean, I know they hear you.